You're listening to the 14th source for all geeky and nerdy news and discussion, which means that you're listening to a podcast.
For all intents and purposes.
I am D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplin.
And we are your two overeducated, codependent nerd hosts, bringing you things that we like to talk about, but filtered through inquisitive and critical lenses in the episode for Friday, August 9th, 2024. Episode is in quotes, though. I'm going to be honest, dear listeners. I have been the anchor dragging the show down for the last month or so. I've been traveling, and this week, and probably next week, I have been relocated from my home office to a different part of the house because we are doing some severe construction. And so acoustic requirements are not being met, and I'm doing my best to not pass out. I am recording this while covered in a blanket to keep down the reverb because it is echoey in here. But how are you, Andrew?
I'm doing okay. It's all fine.
What does that mean? That sound. Everything you said makes it seem like it's not fine.
No. It's everything is. It's. I don't have anything exciting to say. It's been pretty ho hum.
So this is going to be an abbreviated
Blanketcast.
Yeah, the Blanketcast. Well, at least we got an episode title out of it. That's the goal. But I would like to kind of comment on. I did finally finish Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Oh, cool. Cool.
I stayed up late last night to bring that to a close. How often you've been there with video games where you're just like, you get to a point where like, I'm kind of done with this. Let's go ahead and bring it to a close. And then the close takes a little bit longer than you expect it to. I don't think I brought this up last time I talked about it, but one of the things I found really intriguing and engaging with the game is, aside from the combat, which I found incredibly engaging and continually engaging, it was the thing that brought me to the game over and over. The sort of slightly card-based tactical game. But in terms of lore, I really liked how it really engaged with sort of like the magical side of the MCU, firmly rooted in like the Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch angle of things that I feel like the cinematic universe hasn't really dipped its toe into too much, or at least not too much acclaim at this point. But it was really refreshing to engage with these characters, popular characters like Captain Marvel and Iron Man and Blade for different reasons.
Oh yeah.
But you know all the big Avengers characters, as well as some of the minor characters like Wolverine and Magic and Ghost Rider. But it's a story firmly rooted in the magical side of the Marvel universe, not the MCU specifically, but the Marvel universe. And that was just refreshing and interesting. And to that extent, it made me feel like I was playing a story that I hadn't heard already 100 times before. And that lasted through to the end. I found it a very engaging and fun game to play. So my final verdict after talking about it weeks ago, Marvel's Midnight Suns on whatever platform you can play it on, a very fun, engaging, and interesting game. So please check it out if it's your thing.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was ever something that came up on my radar. Although I realize
It's Firaxis. Like, that's totally your radar.
Well, yeah, except that it didn't, because somehow when I saw the initial trailer or whatever, I was like, oh, I don't think I care about this.
Yeah.
And it kind of went into my back zone. Nope, never saying that again.
Back zone. That's a new. Wow, we got a lot of options for episode titles this week.
Yeah, it is this thing where I just, I kind of missed it. Other than hearing you talk about it. I will say though, I actually find that's happening more and more. Maybe it's just me getting old. Maybe it's I'm busy. And of course I play the same 3 fucking games all the time.
Oxygen Not Included.
Yeah.
Fallout 4.
Just the fact that there's new games, and like sometimes the new games will pop up on my on Steam. It'll be like, hey, you wish listed this game 3 years ago, and I'm like, what the hell?
Or I could play another 50 hours of Oxygen Not Included.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. I will say, one of the things that turned me off, and I don't think it was actually a strength of the game, the art direction is a little strange. It's a little, not strange, but it's just very, biceps forward. Everybody seems super jacked and a little gross. And, I don't know. It's not the prettiest game you've ever seen. But, like I said, the combat is what engaged me. And over the years, I've wanted to get into like tactics games, and I've often bounced off of them either because I don't get it or I get to a point where it's too difficult. But this just like slotted into my brain in a very engaging way. And so maybe that means it's a super simple game for dumb people, but
no, it's,
but it worked.
No, it's not. You're not a dumb people. But I do think there's different ways that people engage with games. You know,
it felt like it was a smart approach to the property. And again, coming from Firaxis, directly from the game director was a person that worked on the Firaxis the quote unquote recent XCOM games. He was super excited to take his experience and apply it to the Marvel franchise, to the Marvel properties. It seems a very intelligent, interesting, and engaging way to approach it without just making it Marvel XCOM, which is maybe what some people wanted, but also if you think about it, it's kind of like the easiest and most boring thing to do.
Right.
I would recommend it. There was an interview. I don't remember his name. I'll put the episode in the show notes. But an episode of a podcast called Dear Dwyery, where Danny O'Dwyer, a noted video game documentarian, has a podcast series where he does like basically audio documentaries with specific developers. And he interviewed a developer that worked on the 2 modern XCOM games, who was also the lead on Midnight Suns. And that's actually, listening to that interview is what got me to try the game again after bouncing off of it on my first run through. And I'm very glad it did. So you can check that out in the show notes. So I guess what we're doing is a very quick Week in Geek. I finished Marvel Midnight Suns. Anything that kind of you want to talk about this week?
Nope, same shit.
Nope.
Actually, this week it's the end of the summer session, so I'm actually kind of wrapped up in some stuff. So yeah, no, I actually haven't really done anything. I did actually start watching a new TV show. Well, I actually started watching several new TV shows, but the one I actually started watching really for the first time is Gravity Falls.
Shit!
And I will say
for another 2 hours of conversation, dear listeners.
I will say that I've actually seen some of the final episodes, just because. So like I kind of know. So like, and it's actually, I will say, I don't know what it was like watching the show when it first came out, or like without knowing what's happening. But like having some context of like, it's actually weird. Like I don't know where the show's quite going right now, right? But I know like big things, right? Like
I think that's a really interesting way to. I don't think that's detrimental to watching.
It's not like because for like one of the biggest examples is like every opening credits there's a single frame flash of basically the villain of the series.
Bill.
And it's like I know that, and so it's like wow, yeah, okay, I know, I recognize that for what it is. There's no like mystery or anything. I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. No, it's a weird way, and again, I don't think it's not like, I mean, there's some things where if you know what's happening, it kind of takes some of the whatever away, but this is not that. This is very much like knowing where it's going. Almost feels like it is kind of the cool thing of like, yeah, I could see where it's going. Like when certain pieces get laid down, I'm like, oh, there you go. I know that's going to happen.
That's funny because like I've been getting a lot of advertisements because my phone is always listening to me for a book that Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, was getting published soon or has already been published by the time of this airing. But it's a Gravity Falls related book called The Book of Bill. At the time I was looking at it, I didn't see any preview pages, so I don't know distinctly what it's about. But it's apparently a book written from the point of view of the ostensible villain of the show, a character named Bill. But the most interesting thing, and I'll try to put in the show notes these images. Alex Hirsch is posting some of the like displays that have been going up in like Barnes and Noble and whatnot for the book, which is like like an end cap
right.
for like a bookstore, which is like at the end of a row you have like plastic shelves where you can put a bunch of books related to a specific theme or whatever. And what they have sent out are a bunch of fake books that have like corruption over half of like digital weird corruption going permeating through half of the covers of this book as they surround the actual book called Book of Bill. But they made up all these fake books, and the craziest part is like you can take the books off these end caps and you open up and it's just like for 400 pages or whatever, like 200 pages, let's just say, because they're supposed to be children's books. It's just the word ha 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 over and over and over. It's crazy. It's like the most like dedicated advertising campaign that I've seen ever for a book in a long time.
I found a picture of it.
You see what I'm talking about? Yeah,
it is wild. Like,
can you explain anything that I didn't cover? Like, it's
just like I mean, at least the one I met. It's unfortunately it's part of a TikTok. But
TikTok, yeah.
Neither
Andrew nor I are on TikTok.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to get. So it's basically like a 3x4 grid of children's books, with the Book of Bill in the center, and the rest of them like it's like the blackness of the cover is spilled out on them, and they're arranged in a certain way, so it is actually very intentional. And of course even the images on the covers that you can see are like themselves have this look of being haunted.
Right.
And then of course, the book is just Haas. So this is quite a lot.
Now you got me excited about Gravity Falls again. I should watch it again for the 4th time. I love that show so much. So I'm excited to hear more from your watch through and to connect the dots, so to speak.
Anyway, but I don't have much to say. It's just a couple episodes in. It is just
excellent.
It is neat though. Like I recognize some of these things. I mean, it's a weird thing knowing like the big reveal about Uncle Stan. Like from the get-go, like
Grunkle Stan, please.
I'm sorry, Grunkle Stan.
Thank you.
It's a little bit weird. Like, okay. I don't know at what point. I think it's obviously in season 2. I think where it's like, well, he's not who you think he is. Like, oh shit.
Right.
So anyway, good times.
So I should also say, at least I have been, and a friend of the show has been watching a new show called Batman Caped Crusader, which we may be talking about at some point in the near future. But that's something to look forward to, dear listeners. But I think that's going to be it for this week, if that's okay with you, Andrew.
Yep, sounds good.
Sounds good. I am, although I am very comfortable in this little blanket fort. It's oddly calming. I don't know. Let's just keep talking for another 4 hours.
No, then you'll start sweating in there, and then it'll be really gross.
Oh, buddy, it's still 94 degrees outside. I am already sweating.
Yeah.
So until you sweat from just the sheer temperature of your environment, dear listeners, I'm D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And for all intents and purposes,
that was a podcast.
just to,
Doo-doo.
I could put a blanket.
I've done that. I've lived that life. Don't do that.
Here's a blanket. I'm gonna put a blanket.
Don't do that. Here you come to shave the day.
I love shaving days, bro. You're listening to the 14th source for all geeky and nerdy news and discussion, which means that you're listening to... Hold on, I'm under a blanket. This is ridiculous.